So I just came back from a journey. And it's not the journey you would think. It's not a journey of pleasure. It's not a journey to do something that's popular, that's advertised. I did a journey because it supported my values. And I talk about values all the time, and so I really want to be expressive about that. Because if something doesn't fit your values, you should never do it. So I want to go, and we all know that to me and to what I teach is values are the single most important thing to determine how we are individual expressions of ourselves. But one of the things that got me, and I'm going to start with a quote from my wonderful companion, Dr. John D. Martini. Every person has a unique set of values, and when they set goals that are in alignment with their top values, because they are inspired from within, they will embrace pain and pleasure in the pursuit thereof. Do you hear those words? Pain and pleasure in the pursuits thereof. So if you go to a third world country and you're in the jungles of the Amazon with no running water, no electricity, no conveniences, no enclosed captions, you're going into as deep of a without that possibly could exist. You come into it. As I came into it through the airport at Tarapoto, and it's a shack. And then from there, you go on this vehicle. It's like a 15-year-old Land Cruiser that's got 2 rows of seats, and the back's a pickup truck, and in that you've got 14 people. And you're going down roads and around cliffs where it's solid mud because it's a rainforest. It's been raining forever. And at one point, the vehicle, we slid completely sideways and we almost went off a cliff. Those were the good parts. Then when you get there, I want to share with you my first intention. Because you set an intention. If you don't set an intention, you're leaving your experience open. I set an intention to purify. I should have been clearer. So we come into the Maluka. It's a round wooden thing with a thatch roof over it, very big. And there were 12 of us in the circle. And the shaman comes in, Agner comes in. And he doesn't speak English, and expressing that now we must purify ourselves for the ceremonial week that we're going to experience. And we're all given a glass about this high, this wide, about this much, tobacco juice. And we drink it. And then we are guided then to drink as quickly as possible 4 to 5 liters of water as quickly as you can. Now, that for me was a container about like that and that deep. And we're all sitting there, and then immediately the cleansing happened. And you've lost your inhibitions at that point because everyone is purifying. You go back to your room, you go to sleep in the jungle with all the fears in your mind of what's going to happen. Next morning, you wake up, you really don't sleep. You wake up from whatever it is you're in, and you're given a bowl, and this is all the food you would have, 2 meals a day on non-ceremonial days, 1 meal a day on ceremonial days. You will have boiled potatoes, boiled lentils, rice, and sometimes a little cucumber and boiled cabbage. Sometimes with juice, sometimes without. I'm 10 pounds lighter than when I went. And what it is and no salt and absolutely no sugar. You don't realize how much strength salt gives the body. Because after one day, you're so weak to climb stairs, you're out of breath. You have absolutely no strength whatsoever by eliminating salt. By eliminating sugar, you have to go and you have to find a different energy source. And it really showed, because I'm a pure eater, I thought I was. And I realized that what we're putting in our body is a lot of the illusion that we're not even looking at. And we're detoxifying our bodies. And so this was, again, the food was a part of what? The purification. Now I'll walk you through that next day, day 2. We go into ceremony and we're given It's a ceremonial process. I don't need to walk you through that. We're given the ayahuasca. We take the ayahuasca. Everything's dark. You can't see a thing. It's pitch black. And you're saying, it's no problem. This is no problem. This is no problem. And about an hour in, you go, whoa. Because what happens is the plant brings out what's in the subconscious mind. Whatever is there seeking to come out, the plant brings it out. So that day, immediately, I had the vision, well, when I do this, it's going to be psychedelic. And so I started to see all this psychedelic stuff that I'd never even dreamed of. Then I said to myself, look beyond the illusion and see the truth. And then from that point forward, it became a journey of total feelings. The visions disappeared. They were irrelevant. And so then it became the whole feeling thing, and that day was the releasing. I went through everyone in my life who had any impact on my life whatsoever by name, and I looked at them, and I either did forgiveness work for them or forgiveness work for me. I was in total tears, crying hysterically for hours. There were people around me that were retching. There were people around me screaming in agony. It is not a quiet place like this. This is people expressing, experiencing. So when I finished that journey, the journey when you're on the ceremony is between 6 and 8 hours. This is not something that's small. This is not something I'm recommending. Are you hearing that? And then when you come out of it, and the whole time there's chanting going on, and there's cigarettes. They use cigarettes like it's a sacred thing. And there's a part at the end of the ceremony where the shaman comes up. He hands you a cigarette, you hold it. Then later on, he asks you to hand it back. He takes it, he lights it, and he takes a breath, and he blows it on you. It's a ceremonial blessing. And then he gives it to you to smoke. Well, when the group leader, Ashley, came over, and I said to Ashley, I says, I'm not smoking. And he says, it's part of the ceremony. It's not a cigarette. I said, you don't understand. In that moment, my beautiful wife, face just came right here. And it said, what are your values, Lee? My number 4 value is health and wellness. I've identified to smoke a cigarette is like taking poison. And I looked at Ashley and I said, I'm not smoking. And so the shaman did it, lit it, blew it, handed it to me, looked at me and nodded. I went back and I put it out. You see, realize that just because you're on a journey, there's race consciousness there. And are you willing to step into what you believe? This was a huge moment for me. I can't even tell you how huge that moment was. When I was done, I was empty. Absolutely empty, and I haven't described near what I went through that first ceremony. The next day, you wake up, and you give thanks you're alive, but you're alive. There's no hangover effect, no nothing like that. But you've now got a day where you're only with yourselves. And I was in my hammock. I have a hammock in my thing. You'll see pictures. I'll show them at another time. But I was in my hammock 10 to 12 hours a day. I meditated 4 to 5 times a day for a half hour to an hour. I probably did 5,000 to 6,000 affirmations a day. Everyone that I know in this community by name was prayed for multiple times. And I just held a vision for the world that was greater. The next day, the shaman comes over, and because it's a plant dietist, he gives you a specific plant that he's identified that will do healing within your body, and you take it. That was the worthwhileness of the trip. Because whatever he gave me just went through my body. I could feel energy moving in ways that I've never felt. All of a sudden, from that day forward, my alertness, my awareness is at a level where I can't even begin to tell you how alert I am. I was fuzzy every moment of every day. Every time I wake up, I was fuzzy. All of a sudden, it's gone. I mean, I just spent 36 hours trying to go from a plane from Peru to Tarapoto to Dallas. I've not slept until last night, and I slept 5 hours. Perfectly alert, perfectly here. I didn't sleep more than 3 hours on any evening. And I'm wide awake and well. Second journey. I said, this is going to be a good one. And I was right. On this journey, I went into a place of seeing all the people I love. And I took in, what did love mean? And then as the journey went on, and when that shaman gave me the blessing, where he did the smoke thing, my body filled with an energy. It was like a pinkish, gray, blue energy. It just filled. And then it just started to vibrate. And then I held my hands out, and it just filled, and it started shooting out beyond anything I could ever imagine. And I just filled all my brothers and sisters that were there. And then I sent it to everybody that I could remember's name around the world. And I sat there for like 2 hours, just this channeling vessel of love, because that's what love was. I got the experience I wanted. My number one thing was to purify. My second thing was to experience love at a deeper level. And it was pure acceptance. And I left that night with my heart open beyond anything it's ever been. 2 days later, I had the next journey. And I went in and I wanted to expand the love. And on that night, I faced the dark night of the soul. That was the most horrific night I've ever had in my life. And what I got at the very end of it was, I must really have a strong desire to live. Because what went through me and what I felt, I didn't want to. It was all emotional pain, and it was stimulated, everything stimulated, the chanting, the smells of the sacred oils, the smoke, the retch of the vomit, the noise, everything caused the pain to get greater and greater and greater and greater. And I kept going. I know, and I live in the awareness I'm one with love. Over and over. Tears were flowing, and I kept going, no more. I want the illusion. I command the illusion to stop. I command the illusion to stop. It kept going and going. I said, why did I bring this on? I brought it on because I needed to feel it. I needed to understand that there are people in the world that are feeling this every day, that they can't express it. And because I can feel it, I can now empathize. And in empathy, I can be more supportive. I can be more loving. But if I couldn't know that pain, I could not be a teacher. So it was that part of expansion that had to happen. You see, pain and pleasure. There's the brilliance of love in God, and there's the depths of pain in God, because it all exists within God. And in God, as it is fully balanced. On the last ceremony, I sat there after watching myself go into the deep thing, and I went into gratitude. I literally expressed gratitude for 6.5 hours. For every person, every event that could possibly come into my mind, I went into gratitude. And there were moments of exhilaration, and there were moments of pain. And what happens is, because of the effects of the chemicals within this drug, it sends waves. You're cool. You think you're cool. A wave comes over you. You're not. You're cool. You think another wave. And that became very clear, the symbolic nature of life. That life is always about one wave, and then you're at peace. Then there's another wave, and then you're at peace. And it's a constant thing. That's why the ocean is so symbolic. The ocean is, there's waves, one after another, and it's like your breath. That's why with every breath you take, that's why that song was there. It's because with every breath you're opening up to a new feeling. With every breath you're opening up to a new idea. With every breath you're opening up to a new emotion. You're opening up. Your heart is opening up. Can I share with them? So, I'm done. I'm there, and I can finally call. I'm back in Chirapoto. And I called Jean. And I said to her, I've come to understand that when we carry excess weight, it's a sign that we're carrying repressed emotions. And I say this to you because I realize that I believe that the reason you're carrying repressed emotions is because of me. I realize that in the first 7 to 8 years of our marriage, I caused you great pain. And instead of expressing it, you buried it. And I said, I'm dedicating the rest of my life to helping you, supporting you to release that. Because you deserve greater of me than that. I've never felt my heart so open. That's what happens. You become real when you let go of the illusion, whether it's the physical that you've taken in, or it's the emotional or the thoughts that we have. You let go of that emotion. So I'm on a cleanse right now. It's called a plant dietist, where I'm on a very, very strict diet. There are things I can't have. I thought I was on a strict diet being a vegan. I wasn't. I'm on a strict diet of no sex for 30 days. Now that's something I don't care for at all. I want you to know that it was like being in a hippie commune. I was the oldest person next to me there was 34. They were just blown away, and they brought me in. You are now our millennial brother. And when you bathed in the river, and it was just like in a hippie. You were naked and you were bathing. Never once did a sexual thought enter. Never once, because there was a purity of the energy. I want to bring that in because it was about purifying. But I'm going to take you to, and they say that the journey just started there. And that's why you're on this plant dietist and where you're on all these ideas for 30 days. Because what they say is whatever that chemical is, I forget what it is, HMT or HRT or something like that, it is working in your body, and you're going to open, you're going to progress even more. So I'm sitting in Miami last night. This is now about 24 hours into my journey where I haven't slept. And our plane, we got moved off the plane onto another plane. We don't know what's happening. And I'm sitting here, and there's a man here with his wife here. And I start talking to the man. And I brought up, he asked me what I'd done, and I shared with him. And I shared with him that when I came out, and I was trying to contact my wife, and I saw the thing that had happened on Dallas on Thursday night, that I broke into tears. He looked at me. This is a big African-American man. 45, strong, handsome man. He says, I'm a Dallas police officer. I looked at him. I reached across. And I said, I'm so grateful for you because the service you bring is so magnificent. And I will do everything in my prayer work to know that you and your family are safe. And tears just flowed. It was healing. It was his wife standing in line an hour later when she knew she couldn't make the plane because they had to wait for the suitcase. She grabbed me and said, you go now. And I went up to the counter and they said, if you run to the next terminal, we'll get you on that plane. And so I literally ran 1.5 miles with a backpack on my back. I got there and the attendant says, I am not letting you on. And I said, you don't understand. I'm destined to be on this plane. And she yelled at me, and then she opened the door. When I was running away, I looked back, and he looked at me and went like this. And I smiled. That's how we should be. That's the connection. That's love. I could talk for hours. But I'm going to stop here. And I want you to know that this is not a journey about being on ayahuasca. This is a journey about being fully present in life. And you don't have to go anywhere to do it. You can be right here, right now. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.